Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 3, the status quo, Chapter 1, questions by Vidura. And this morning we're doing text 25. Without further ado, we'll start the class. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Privajikacharya Stotra Satasishimari Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Privajikacharya Stotra Satasishimari Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shami Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. Ganga Mayi Ki Jai, Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga Lord Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Niti Namale Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddharthane Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Namale Narayana Namaskritya Narunchevam Naruttamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Gajirayat Nashta Prayeswa Bhadvesu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, Text 25. Vāsudevānucaraṁ praśāntaṁ Bṛhaspati prāk tanayaṁ pratītam āliṅgya gāḍhaṁ praṇayena bhadraṁ svānām apṛcchad bhagavat-prajānām vāsudevānucaraṁ praśāntaṁ Bṛhaspati prāk tanayaṁ pratītam āliṅgya gāḍhaṁ praṇayena bhadraṁ svānām apṛcchad bhagavat-prajānām vāsudevānucaraṁ praśāntaṁ Bṛhaspati prāk tanayaṁ pratītam āliṅgya gāḍhaṁ praṇayena bhadraṁ svānām apṛcchad bhagavat-prajānām. Hare Krishna. Please chant.
vāsudevānucaraṁ praśāntaṁ bṛhaspateḥ prāk tanayaṁ pratītam āliṅgya gāḍhaṁ praṇayena bhadraṁ svānām apṛcchad bhagavat-prajānām. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
vāsudevānucaraṁ praśāntaṁ bṛhaspate prāk tanayaṁ pratītam āliṅgya gāḍhaṁ praṇayena bhadraṁ svānām apṛcchad bhagavat-prajānām. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
vāsudevānucaraṁ praśāntaṁ bṛhaspate prāk tanayaṁ pratītam āliṅgya gāḍhaṁ praṇayena bhadraṁ svānām apṛcchad bhagavat-prajānām. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
vāsudevānucaraṁ praśāntaṁ bṛhaspate prāk tanayaṁ pratītam āliṅgya gāḍhaṁ praṇayena bhadraṁ svānām apṛcchad bhagavat-prajānām.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay, we do word for word now. He, Vidura, Vāsudevam, Lord Kṛṣṇa, Anucaraṁ, constant companion, praśāntaṁ, very sober and gentle, Bṛhaspati of Bṛhaspati, the learned spiritual master of the demigods, prāk, formerly, tanayaṁ, son or disciple, pratītam, acknowledged, āliṅgya, embracing, gāḍhaṁ, very feelingly, praṇayena, in love, bhadraṁ, auspicious, svānām, his own, apṛcchad, asked, bhagavat, of the personality of Godhead, prajānām, family. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Then, due to his great love and feeling, Vidura embraced him, Uddhava, who was a constant companion of Lord Kṛṣṇa and formerly a great student of Bṛhaspati's. Vidura then asked him for news of the family of Lord Kṛṣṇa, the personality of Godhead. Report by Srila Prabhupada. Vidura was older than Uddhava, like a father, and therefore when the two met, Uddhava bowed down before Vidura, and Vidura embraced him because Uddhava was younger, like a son. Vidura's brother Pandu was Lord Kṛṣṇa's uncle, and Uddhava was a cousin, to Lord Kṛṣṇa. According to social custom, therefore, Vidura was to be respected by Uddhava on the level of his father. Uddhava was a great scholar in logic, and he was known to be a son or disciple of Bṛhaspati, the greatly learned priest and spiritual master of the demigods. Vidura asked Uddhava about the welfare of his relatives, although he already knew that they were no longer in the world. This inquiry appears to be very queer, but Srila Jiva Goswami states that the news was shocking to Vidura, who therefore inquired again due to great curiosity. Thus, his inquiry was psychological and not practical. Oma Gena Timirandasya Gana Gena Shalakaya Chakshu Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadatikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paschatiyadi Shitarine Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Padayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Vachase Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Shri Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Translation again. Then, due to his great love and feeling, Vidura embraced him, Uddhava, who was a constant companion of Lord Kṛṣṇa, and formerly a great student of Bṛhaspati. Vidura then asked him for news of the family of Lord Kṛṣṇa, the personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. So, Vidura is going around his travels. He's left Hastinapur. He took advantage of a bad situation, which is already a lesson for us. Something happens that is traumatic or bad. What good can we learn from it? Or how can we turn it into something good? He was insulted by Duryodhana, who was supposed to be a nephew, but very disrespectfully, he insulted Vidura. Duryodhana, insulted Vidura because Vidura told the truth about him, Duryodhana, to his father, Duryodhana's father, Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra had asked that Vidura come and give him some advice, and so the situation was described well, straightforwardly, by Vidura. And now Duryodhana has taken exception to it and even talked about throw him out of the palace. Even as part of the insult, he said that. So Vidura took advantage of it, put his boat down, and left. And went on pilgrimage, take advantage of hearing and remembering Kṛṣṇa by going to various pilgrimage places. And so in going around, he finally met Uddhava. He went so many places, and that's been discussed in the text before this one. Now, when he met, in one sense, it's for anybody in the mode of goodness. We all have at least partly mode of goodness. There's some passion and hopefully no ignorance, but there's some passion because it's like that in this material world, this particular earth. But the goodness is there. Vidura is pure. So when he met Uddhava, immediately his love just poured out. So due to his great love and feeling, Vidura embraced Uddhava. We are being trained in how to become proper devotees. Proper means pure devotees. Purity is there for everyone. It's not that some people can be pure and some people should not be pure. It's never the case. Everybody can try for purity. And the great advantage of doing that is If you try for purity, you don't have to announce to anybody that you're trying to be a pure devotee. But in the process of doing that, you become a better person. You will constantly become a better person. You would improve the kind of quality of person that you are. That's for everybody, including myself. The more we try, the better we become. Just like many times somebody that wants, the student that wants an A in the subject, they'll try very hard to understand and put into practice, not only put into practice, but do the exam also, to try to get it all right. Now, they may not get 100%, but because they're aiming for a high grade, they may get 90-something, or they may get the 100% too. It's possible. The thing is, anybody that shoots for something high doesn't wind up with something low. That's the point we're making. Because they're putting the effort. The effort brings the result. So the love is there. It's in our hearts. Right now, in the material world, the demons are trying to get us to channel that love into lust, wanting material things just for sense gratification. But it never gives real happiness, because the real happiness is in the soul, which is in the heart area. That's why when we have love, it seems to come from the heart, because love is a quality of the soul. So Vidura showed his love and feeling and embraced Uddhava. Now Uddhava is described as a constant companion of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Something we are also trying to be, constant companions, even now, in our different relationships, especially as a servant of the servant of the servant of the great Supreme Personality of Godhead. That situation is there for everybody. So love is there for everybody. Love is in the heart already. It's in the soul. And it will be awakened, especially if we take Krishna consciousness seriously, because Krishna consciousness do's and don'ts are the very guide that make us pure, that make us better people. And everybody around us will feel that, whether they are devotees or non-devotees. A good person, you get the good feeling about that person. When you talk to them, you know that you hear something that is fruitful. Wisdom is there. So all of those are there to be, to be used by us, if we take advantage of the process that we've been told to live by. So, in the purport, a little bit about the family relationships is described by Srila Prabhupada. Vidura was older, like one generation older than Uddhava. So he was like in the father or uncle generation. So when the two met, then by custom, by etiquette, Uddhava being younger, bowed down before Vidura. And Vidura was very, very loving and affectionate to Uddhava and embraced him like a son. So the etiquette is there. When one meets somebody that's older, there has to be the way to relate to that person who is older, and the person who's older also has a particular way to relate to someone that's younger, just like Vidura and Uddhava are exhibiting in love. Srila Prabhupada describes the relation that Vidura's brother Pandu, so there's Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura, three of them. Vidura's brother Pandu was Lord Krishna's uncle, and Uddhava was a cousin to Lord Kṛṣṇa. So how does this all pan out as far as the relationships go? Vidura's brother Pandu was Lord Kṛṣṇa's uncle. Why didn't Srila Prabhupada go right from Vidura to Lord Kṛṣṇa, but he went to Vidura's brother Pandu was Lord Kṛṣṇa? Because there is one other personality involved in here, and that is Kunti. Pandu married Kunti. And Kunti and Vasudeva, Krishna's father, were siblings, were children of King Shudasen. So Krishna's aunt, since Vasudeva is Krishna's father, through Vasudeva, Krishna came by his own sweet will. So Krishna's aunt was Kunti. And since Kunti was married to Pandu, so through that marriage, then there's a connection between Pandu. Since Pandu and Vidura were already brothers. So as soon as Kunti married into that Kaurava family, married Pandu, then Pandu also became an uncle of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So Vidura's brother Pandu was Lord Kṛṣṇa's uncle through the marriage. So according to the social custom, the Vidura was to be respected by Uddhava on a level of his father, the generation above, the fatherly generation above Uddhava. So Srila Prabhupada also says Uddhava was a great scholar in logic, and he was known to be a son or disciple. He actually is, we can look at him as a disciple, but sometimes disciples consider themselves sons. Many, many times they were, due to the affection that disciples had for the spiritual master, and I'm talking about my own spiritual master, Bhakti Maharaj, many of his female disciples considered him as a father. And they said it plainly. He's my spiritual master, but they like to use they use the word spiritual father because, of course, they were not born by the flesh by him. He was sannyasi, he didn't have any children. And he was brahmachari to sannyasi. But the women, disciples, regarded him as their father. So Uddhava, he was a disciple of Bṛhaspati. So by the flesh, he really was not a son. Uddhava's father was Devabhaga. And Devabhaga was a brother of Vasudeva. It's one of the sons of Srila, Lord Kṛṣṇa's father. So that's why Uddhava is the, as they say, cousin. But we had to learn that sometimes you tag the gender to it too. So he's a cousin brother of Kṛṣṇa. But he was also a very close friend of Kṛṣṇa and a confidant. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, he actually looks like, his physical appearance similar to Kṛṣṇa's. So much so that according to one pastime, my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Maharaj explained in one of his, he actually put it in one of his books, but it was a pastime, and in a pastime in the spiritual world. Srimati Radharani cooks for Kṛṣṇa. On one particular occasion, made a nice meal for Kṛṣṇa. The gopis are there, the ones that are very close to Srimati Radharani. And Kṛṣṇa was with the cowherd boys, and he was supposed to come and enjoy Srimati Radharani's cooking. The cowherd boys were quite attached to Kṛṣṇa and were having a lot of fun. So Kṛṣṇa decided not to go to the gopis. So what did he do? He sent Uddhava. And before Uddhava was sent, he was dressed nicely, and some of the paraphernalia that Kṛṣṇa uses to dress was given to Uddhava. Yellow dhoti, peacock feather turban, all of that. And since by physical appearance, Uddhava resembles Kṛṣṇa, so they dressed him to look like Kṛṣṇa. And then Kṛṣṇa sent him so that he could be with the cowherd boys and Uddhava could just go in his place. So when he went, according to what Bhakti Maharaj wrote in this particular funny pastime, the gopis were deceived. They really thought that was Kṛṣṇa. And so, of course, they made a nice plate for him. And so Uddhava started eating. Now, Srimati Radharani's cooking is phenomenal, to say the least. Very, very tasty. And Uddhava started eating, and he was just blown away by the taste. It was wonderful. And as he was eating, he really was enjoying it, and he got to a point where he was just beside himself in so much pleasure that he started talking. Jai, Jai. Hmm? How wonderful this prasadam is. Hmm? And he started just jumping up and down and bouncing all over the place. And the turban came off. And of course, for his voice too, they could tell. Both the turban comes off, they realized that was Uddhava and not Krishna. Hmm? So Krishna, of course, plays so many games with the gopis. This was one of the things that they found out the truth that Krishna had actually deceived them. It's a transcendental pleasure. This is Krishna. The gopis expect anything at any time from Krishna. Anyway, so this is one of the pastimes. How Srimati Radharani took it, well, that's going to be between Radha and Krishna. That's not for us to even speculate about. So Vidura was asking Uddhava about the welfare of his relatives, although he knew that they were no longer in the world. So you might say, that's interesting. Why would he ask about his relatives when he's already been told that there's been a fratricidal war and that they had actually killed so many had died, and literally hundreds of millions of them had already died, both in Kurukshetra and also in Pariksit, both. So why would he ask Uddhava about these relatives? So Jiva Goswami states that the news was shocking to Vidura, and that is the key. That's why Vidura inquired again. So it was due to great curiosity. So the inquiry was psychological and not practical, because practically the reality was that Vidura knew that the relatives were already dead and had moved on. But he still asked Uddhava. So Vidura was quite shocked about what had happened. So we know in our own experience that some news can be very pleasant and sometimes news can be shocking. And both of them generate emotions. Shocking news and pleasant news. Shocking news is something hard to believe if it is shocking. And it's nice to hear again and again if it is pleasant. Sometimes we have a program in the temple, and the program went so well that the next day we still talk about the program if it's pleasant. But sometimes when it's shocking, the news is shocking, we can remember again and again. We repeat the news in our conversations due to how it affects our emotions. So in the Krishna's pastimes when he was here on earth, so many things happened. Some of them were difficult news, some of them were happy news. For example, a difficult situation was when Yudhishthira, Maharaj Yudhishthira, heard about the departure of Krishna and Balaram from Dwarka after that war, the fratricidal war. So he took it very difficult, very difficult. They're always thinking of Krishna. They're always inviting Krishna to whatever programs. They always make sure you come, sometimes well ahead of time, they're planning a particular program. Maharaj Yudhishthira would say, please come, please come. When it was, even after the war, he made Krishna stay in Hastinapur for a while before leaving. And he said, we will have other programs, but please come. Please come. I'm just using the generic word programs advisedly because I don't want to get into the details of the different wonderful, wonderful, wonderful activities that happened after Yudhishthira became the king in Hastinapur. So when he heard that Krishna and Balaram had left, Arjuna came and told them, came from Dwarka and told Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira planned to leave them. If Krishna has left this world, there's no reason for me to be here. So he planned to leave Maharaj Pariksit, their grandson, directly Arjuna's grandson, had been trained. So right from the get-go, he was trained in Krishna consciousness. Even as a child, he played with dolls and toys that reminded him of Krishna. He grew up like that. This is Maharaj Pariksit. And then, of course, he taught him, as the Pandavas were expert in administration as well as military purposes. Maharaj Pariksit was trained. So when Maharaj Yudhishthira decided, along with his brothers, that they were going to leave, then they left the kingdom to Maharaj Pariksit. We also, coming home, I don't know how many listening now, but of course, since this is going to YouTube, others will be able to relate to it also. Another news that disturbs some of us that know just how frequently these days Srila Prabhupada disciples are leaving their bodies. It's one after another. So many people have left in this few months of 2026. Some were Srila Prabhupada disciples who were in the Grihastha ashram, some were in the sannyas ashram, some were spiritual masters. So we've known some of them for a while. Some of them were wives of spiritual masters. One pretty close to us, Philadelphia. Ravinda Silverbush's wife, Mother Sudamni, has left the body, the latest one. Actually, I hear the couple moved to Mayapur. From Philly, they moved to Mayapur, but that's where Mataji left the body. Many Srila Prabhupada disciples leave. And when they're leaving, the thing is, this is the first time that ISKCON as a society is ultimately going to go into the hands of the second generation. ISKCON has been run by Srila Prabhupada's disciples for a long time. Ever since its inception, Srila Prabhupada was the main person, but he also trained his disciples. And then after he left in 1977, it's been Srila Prabhupada disciples that have, gotten the society going. And now, some of them very prominent in their activities in their service to the society. Now they're also leaving their bodies one after another. And it's true that they'll go, but it's also shocking when it happens. Now, so there are sometimes news that are shocking and sometimes happy news. And happy news, for the most part, you can have a broad, it comes in a big, broad umbrella, the pastimes of the Lord and his devotees. Especially Krishna and the gopis. Now, Krishna and the gopis have wonderful pastimes. But Lord Chaitanya, who came as Krishna's devotee, he is Krishna, but he came as a devotee of Krishna, just so he would teach us how to act as a devotee of Krishna. So he played the role of a young person coming up. He played the role of wonderful son, but he also played some pastimes in there that sometimes, if you didn't know much about Krishna consciousness, you would raise your eyebrow. But that's Krishna. That is the relationship between him and his parents. That's one thing. Because he knows how to generate different levels of love and different feelings of love between him and depending on the ras that he's involved in. So that's all there, pastimes of the Lord. But of course, the one that maybe gets people's attention the most, and it depends on how you feel, is the pastimes involving the Lord and the cowherd girls, the gopis. Nectar of Devotion describes wonderful situations. It started when Krishna was 11, between 11 and 15, that his body has developed so nicely then. And in chapter 26 of Nectar of Devotion, there's little description of how Krishna's body developed from when he was an infant all the way up to at that particular level between, that's the Kishore level between 11 and 15. Because from 16 on, he went to Mathura and then he went to Dwarka. He didn't return to Vrindavan. So the pastimes of the Lord, the gopis talk over and over and over and over again about the pastimes and how Krishna's beauty makes them feel. In fact, so much that they're describing some of the gopis almost in desperation, but they love it at the same time. This is kind of feelings that are mixed together because Krishna Prema has different levels. If we have time, we'll go to some of the levels. But the gopis are describing Krishna's looks. They are so attracted to Krishna's looks that they said two things. One, we see that there are decorations on Krishna. There are different decorations on Krishna. Now, while for us, we have the experience that when there's decoration, it makes the person look more beautiful. That's the way decorations do us, to make us look more beautiful. But Krishna is superior in every respect. So yes, Mother Yashoda gives some decoration, they decorate him nicely. Sometimes the gopis decorate him also very nicely, but that's in bṛhaspateḥ. That's another pastime situation. The important thing, though, is that rather than the jewels making Krishna look more beautiful, the jewels appear more beautiful because they are on Krishna. It's the opposite. Krishna's beauty is so nice that with the jewels being on him, the jewels appear more beautiful. The jewels appear more beautiful. When we are people who have the experience that when we put jewels on us, then we look beautiful because of the jewels. The jewels enhance our beauty. But Krishna enhances the beauty of the jewels. That's how wonderful he is. And another thing that the gopis were talking about, it's a love in desperation mixed together. Another level of love in the 7 levels of Krishna Prema. In this love and desperation, one gopi is describing that Krishna knows that we are married. And of course, we also know, and there is a particular etiquette that comes with marriage. We have husbands. But Krishna's beauty is so much that we are getting so attracted to him even though we have husbands. And the way the gopi is describing, I'm paraphrasing, he's describing that it's not like we don't know what it is that we have to do as wives. But the beauty of Krishna is so overwhelming that we can't seem to control ourselves when we're supposed to control ourselves because we're wives. This is a gopi's quote-unquote predicament. But that's the way they're expressing the love for Krishna. And so this beauty that Krishna has makes the gopis talk about him in so many different ways. And they can be very poetic too, some of it. So that just goes to show that we see the deity of the Lord, and the Lord is beautiful, but from Brahma Samhita, Brahma has described that we don't really have the eyes tinged with the salve of love. That's why we can look at the deity, and of course the etiquette is to look at the deity from the feet up to his face. This is the reverence. You start from the feet, looking at the feet of the deity and up. And definitely by the Lord's mercy, we are relating to the deity in reverence. But real love, the deity, for many of us, that's going to take a while. Because real love, the deity is Krishna. So real love, the deity means Krishna Prema. And for us, we're going through the stages from first the faith in the Lord and the coming to the association of devotees who just constantly remind us about Krishna by talking about Krishna and also serving the devotees and serving spiritual master. So all that goes through, and then later on, Krishna, by being satisfied with our commitment to bhakti, helps us to get connected to a particular spiritual master. We take initiation from them. Then, of course, there's an activity on when the desires have to go. So it takes a while before, steadiness, and before the actual feelings of love for Krishna begin. But the gopis are already there in the different levels of love they relate to Krishna. And so they talk about Krishna all of the time. And Krishna's devotees, even here, the sages, they also discuss Krishna. And that's what gives them pleasure. Machita makita prana bharayanta parasparam katayantas tamam nityam tushanti cha pramanti cha. The very life air of these sages. Everything has to do with Krishna. They talk about him. Sometimes they have a general conversation about him. Sometimes they have one person talk about him and then they listen. But this is how these sages, the devotees of the Lord, high-level devotees who are thinking about him all the time, get their happiness. This is that happiness that is, it's not tinged with any lusty things that are in this material world. It is from the heart, and it's pure, and it's clean, and that is what really, really excites the Lord's devotees. So that's what we have to learn from. But in order to get there, there are some things that we need to be cleaning up our act and cleaning up our from, and also being very, very much ready to cultivate that. That is it's in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, the first 3 texts. It is important to cultivate spiritual knowledge. If we cultivate spiritual knowledge, then it's added to everything else that we've studied in this material world. If we act on what we know and keep reading the scriptures and hearing the scriptures, it will definitely impinge on or affect how we look at the world. Our eyes will be open more. And the important thing is, of course, we have our free choice, free will, as we like to put it. We have to apply what we learn. Then we become better people. Some other things, too, that we have to be about, especially for those of us in the household of ashram, charity. We have to be very charitable. Charity gives us 2 things. One, charity means we're giving away something that is in our possession. So if we give away something that is in our possession, then we don't have that thing in our possession anymore. But that's obvious because we've given it. But there's 2 things that happen. Where it's gone to, and the fact that it's left us, that particular thing that we gave as charity. What is the advantage for us when it goes from us as charitable things? It makes us less attached to material things. If we can give freely, we're becoming less and less and less attached to material things. We're becoming detached. And being detached from material things is also one of the requirements that make us think of spiritual. There's only 2 things, material and spiritual. The more detached we are from the material, the more attached we become to the spiritual. So if we give charity away, give things away, then we're not attached to those things. We're cultivating the habit of letting go. So that when the time comes we have to leave our body, then we let everything go mentally, because we cannot physically hold on to anything when we die. So then with that practice, the charity makes us begin to practice giving up, not being attached to things material. The other side, well, the person that receives the charity benefits from it. And that's why we have to be strategic in giving charity. we can give charity, but also the strategy is to gain spiritual credits from giving the charity. Therefore, it makes sense to give charity to Krishna conscious projects, especially to the temple. Because if we give, now we're learning to detach from the material, because we give material things as charity. And if the temple gets it, then we get spiritual credits because we have given to the temple. We can give to other devotees also as gifts. That's very much encouraged. It's in the nectar of instruction. Giving gifts and receiving gifts as two of the ways in which we exchange love. So charity is important. We have to really practice. Nobody should accept this plan or this suggestion that's given by Maya that, oh, I have so little, that I am so poor that I can't give anything. That is deception. Everybody can give. Everybody must give in charity. But don't take it to the best way is to give the Krishna conscious projects. You have to be careful. Sometimes beggars come up to us and ask for money and so on. But devotees are warned. When you give money, you don't know what's going to happen to it. If you have praśāntaṁ, the person is hungry, better to give praśāntaṁ. Praśāntaṁ can be snack. It doesn't have to be a whole plate. If you have a plate, yes. If not, snack is fine. But once money has come, money can be used to do good things or things that are harmful to the person's life. So you have to be very careful when it comes to giving that. But it always can be given to the temple because that's used for 100% Krishna conscious activities. And Krishna conscious temple has to be, maintained with the bills and the repairs and all those kinds of things. So you give there. Self-control, also another good quality. If we obey the regulated principles, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, and no apṛcchad by getting angry or insulting. Very careful how we always relate positively to devotees. Then we are automatically self-controlled. Simplicity. There's complication, and then there's also simplicity. It's a no-brainer to choose things that are simple. Simplicity gives peace of mind. Complications can, in fact, make us, it's mind-boggling sometimes, situations like that. So we should choose simplicity over complication. Non-violence. Well, when we hear the word violence, people think in terms of physical violence. But violence in a spiritual level is to prevent someone from pursuing Krishna consciousness. That is the worst violence that anyone can do to another person. So we should be non-violent. Yes, we can be non-violent towards living entities, especially those with smaller bodies than us, talking about insects and so on. But non-violence, really, from a spiritual standpoint, is to make sure that we encourage others in Krishna consciousness, not get envious of other person's service and try to stop them from doing the service. That is never a good idea. We should be straightforward. We should be truthful. Vidura was very truthful, direct to Dhritarashtra as to what was going on. Truthfulness or dealing in a straightforward way, it's very, very important for our growth. The advantage of being truthful is that you just have to repeat the same thing every time you're asked about it. If we lie about something, then we want to protect the lies that we've said, so we have to make sure that we remember what we said earlier. If we speak the truth, we don't have to remember, because we just say the same thing easily, effortlessly the next time. So truthfulness Not to mention the fact that truthfulness gives us spiritual credits, whereas deception gives us more ignorance, and that goes against us, spiritual debits. We should try to be free from anger. Anger is not so easy to get rid of. It's part of us, literally, our emotions. It is in Krishna's emotions too. That's the way the source is. But it has to be used, scripture tells us, for spiritual advantages. When somebody says something very bad about our spiritual master, it will give us anger. But how we react we have to be careful about that, because we talked about nonviolence already. For the most part, an easier thing to do is if we can get ourselves physically out of the situation so we don't have to deal with it, we can do that. Get ourselves out of a situation rather than react to it and open up and say something that we would regret later on. We should remain tranquil. And the easiest way to remain tranquil is to turn to ourselves. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And here's a little bit of funny news that I've heard, even though in one sense it's nice, but it's also funny in another way. One of our new devotees that comes to, we'll mention the name, that comes to this temple now. He has his regular job, and he has to deal with customers. And then, of course, his co-workers are there too. And then he has a manager, who's a supervisor. So sometimes people in bad moods, the customers, they come. And they may say something to him that is unfair. And he might get angry. And what we heard later on, what he's doing is he turns away from the customer and he says, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. He uses the Krishna mantra to calm himself down. And that's not funny. But what we heard is that his supervisor, who is a non-devotee, saw that he does that. He uses the mantra to calm himself down. So now the supervisor has also started imitating this guy. So then he gets upset. He says, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. What? This is wonderful. So now this particular guy who isn't a devotee, not practicing bhakti, he also uses the same way that our devotee, this new devotee, when he gets upset on the job because of customer and what they've said to him, he uses the mantra. You'd be surprised at how many ways we can use the mantra to calm ourselves down. So he does that. You could do that if you want to. One final thing is compassion for all living entities. Develop love, we have to have compassion for all living entities. What is compassion? Well, to feel for somebody going through a difficult situation. That's one part of compassion. And the other part of compassion is to try to do something to alleviate, to stop that difficulty that a person is going through. So compassion has the feeling for, sometimes even empathy, feeling for someone that is sympathy. Empathy means like you feel like you put yourself in the shoes of that person. They can relate to how the person is doing. That's empathy. But then you go on and see what can be done and try to take action to help that person out of that particular situation. That is the full expression of compassion. So Vidura embodies all of that. And therefore his love is there. And when he met Uddhava, because he was in a generation higher than, of course, the way they met was even very, very wonderful. Uddhava bowed to Vidura, and Vidura embraced him. And so, of course, he asked about the welfare of the family, but that was because, this is Vidura was asking Uddhava, but that was because he couldn't get over the fact that they had left and the way they left. The fratricidal, literally war, the Kshatriyas. So he asked again, and Diva Goswami explains that this inquiry is psychological because Vidura already knew that they had gone. But it was almost like bringing up a situation that it happens to us that's negative and is shocking to us. So then, we bring it up again just to hear, but to also somehow be able to get over it. Sometimes you talk rather than keep it in, talk it out. Sometimes it's more helpful to us. Negative things, if we keep it in, it will make us sick. And if you're younger than 50 years old, you haven't experienced that yet. But once you get to that age and you keep negativity, you will become literally, physically sick. It can, in fact, happen. So we have to be careful. We have to get help and to get negative things to go away. We shouldn't keep it in. We shouldn't keep it in. Keep it in over for years. We'll have, and I've seen one God sister literally suffered badly and died because there was something that happened in her family and they did to her and she couldn't get over it. She was very, very shocked. And year in, year out, she was still thinking about it until it made her sick. So don't keep negative things. Finally, we all want to go back to Godhead, but not the hard way, making it difficult for ourselves. Anyway, we'll stop here. Some things to think about as I'm speaking. I'm also getting purified because it's through my Guru Maharaj and through Srila Prabhupada. I put myself at their feet to help me to use their wisdom to do this particular service. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this is the time, dear devotees. If you want to make comments, you can unmute yourself. If you want to ask a question, again, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? If not, while you're waiting for questions, I think there's something in the chat from Nupur Mataji. Okay. Hare Krishna. Since gopis, I'm reading it now. Since gopis are the highest form of devotees, just wondering why it matters if they are married or not in this world. You're wondering whether it matters if they're married or not in this world. When we talk gopis, we can spend a couple of hours talking about them because their feelings are on different levels. Some people even say, now let's bring this up, since they themselves, with this particular pastime, they're saying that they're so attracted to Krishna's beauty, even though they're married and they're getting really, really attached to Krishna. Well, we have to remember Krishna's position for two things. One, Krishna is the supreme controller. And two, the gopis don't say that about anyone else, only about Krishna. So Krishna is the supreme controller. Krishna is in a unique position. His relation is that Madhurya Ras, that loving conjugal relationship that Krishna has with them. It's in the class by itself. In one sense, because the way this is explained about gopis' marriage and then their relation to Krishna, is that the husbands play the role of being caretakers, especially when they are in Goku, here on the earth. The husbands play the role of caretakers. But it's actually deeper than that. And so some parts of it, I don't think I'm at liberty to disclose. But another part of it is they play that kind of role. They know that. The gopis know that. But also by etiquette, social custom, they are married. Now, in Krishna's position, why he is unique in being able to relate to this, to relate in this situation, being the supreme lover from all the gopis, is that we got to remember something. Everything is from Krishna. So ultimately, the husbands don't have as much right over the gopis as Krishna has right over the gopis. Who brought everything to be? Everything, material and spiritual. It's Krishna. So everything is Krishna's property. So from that standpoint, the husbands have no case against Krishna. They don't. They really don't have any case against Krishna because their very existence is from Krishna. The husband's existence from Krishna. The gopis' existence from Krishna. So Krishna is in that unique position as owner of everything. And owner of everything can use as he likes. So from that standpoint, Krishna can't do any wrong. He's owner of everything. But by social custom and by their own feelings of the gopis, because the gopis are so very much in love with Krishna, they're saying, yeah, so customarily we are like this, wives, but Krishna is so attractive. They were just trying, that was a way of expressing how wonderful, how attractive Krishna is. They made that comparison like that we are married and we observe etiquette, but Krishna's beauty is so much that he's challenging the etiquette that we are supposed to observe. So that is the real reason. That is the real reason. Krishna is in that position. Nobody is in that position. He's Asamoj, but nobody comes equal to him, and nobody goes is better than Krishna. So because he's in that unique position of owner of all there is, then so he owns both the gopis and their husbands. So then he can relate as he likes to everybody. That's Krishna's position. Hare Krishna. But thank you for asking the question in the chat. Hare Krishna. Any other? And I know there's appreciation from the Puma today. Another devotee is also saying, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Shane, with accept humble obeisance, all glory to Prabhupada. Please unmute yourself and go for it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the beautiful class. We enjoyed the pastime of Uddhava dressed like Krishna. That was, never heard that one before. It was very nice. I also enjoyed the comment of how the jewels look better when they're on Krishna instead of the other way around. But, yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I was next to the devotion describing this. Again, those who have seen Krishna made that comment. It's been made more than once, but next to the devotion definitely has that description. It is talked about in chapter 26. Thank you again. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. Any other comments or questions? Okay. If not, then thank you very much for coming and hearing. Krishna's pastimes are always very exciting, and it also generates different kinds of moods. It depends on whichever one we're hearing and how it makes us feel. And that's why we don't do any other type of mundane, stay away from mundane activities or mundane television activities, mundane ones. You can definitely watch Krishna, Mahabharata, and those kind of things on TV. Yeah, that's wonderful because it reminds us of Krishna. Have a wonderful day. Panchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhubhya evacha pratītānam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Jai. Thank you. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear Krishna.